Y'all, just so happy to be able to start a conversation. I've said that before in a conversation about the park project. And so kind of want to just talk to you all and y'all can spread the word about the who, why, where, what, and when, because everybody's got questions. And this is going to be real informal. While Brittany, this is Brittany Clark. Brittany was in our leadership class and is a nurse practitioner here and has her clinic. What is it?
Family Clinic of New Albany.
Family Clinic of New Albany, and very involved in this project. And for y'all that don't know me, I'm Betsy Hamilton, and I've been involved in this project too. Anyway, just want to start with. Been lots of articles in the paper about what's going on at Park Along the River, the gym park, the Central Park in our town, and that's been around now and has served us for about 35 years. On your table, you've got a brochure, and we're kind of just going to follow it and go into a little more detail. Some of you may or may not know that the Tallahatchie River has had some notable people stand on its banks, as in Meriwether Lewis, Hernando de Soto, Civil War, Catherine Dye, Walter Johnson. So focusing, and that the name is the Rock Bottom or Rocky River, right, Glen? And we are in the homeland of the Chickasaw. So it's historic, it is. And so look at the park, and just want to mention that in April of 1987, and you may have seen this before, local artist Catherine Dye shared her dream of a new Riverside Park. And I feel so connected with this project to Catherine because I may be the only one in the room that remembers a night that she called and said, "What do you think about making a park out of that area on Central, the wooded area? Has nothing but tires and stuff in it. Sounds like a great idea. Let's do it." That night, I mean, not that night, but a few months or so later, she presented to the city alderman her vision and her plan she sketched for a Riverside Park. And y'all, this sketch, I wish I had it bigger, is a riverside drive, just about, from Bankhead Bridge to I-22. I-22, Bankhead. She did it. Years later, like in pre-COVID, New Albany had gone through a strategic comprehensive plan. And out of that plan came the desire for river access and recreation along the river, for the recreation aspect and to capitalize on the river because it runs exactly through our town. And during that time, or right after that, we were actually a couple of years after, at the museum. Jill and some of us were down here visiting with representatives from the National Park Service. And we were standing up in the front just talking about New Albany and using the river and the comprehensive plan. And they told us that we should consider applying for their Rivers, Trails, and Conservation Assistance Program. There was no money in this grant, but that we would we would get a comprehensive or conceptual plan to do river access and be able to, use the river more. So we applied for the grant, and lo and behold, we got it. And this is the plan. So what happened was there were numerous public meetings, lots of conversations, lots of ideas floated around. And this is what came out of it. This is Bankhead. This is I-22. This is Catherine Dye's plan.
And I don't think they had
No,
seen this
no, y'all.
either.
I just found that. I don't know, Lynn. I don't know if you have a copy of this in your office from the Gazette or not, but actually, just cleaning out the drawers at my house, I found this, and then we had this, and that is this document that came out of the National Park Service conceptual master plan and recommendations for development of Catherine Dye's Riverside Park. So that is the how, I guess, that we got to this point, in a sense. This is the park along the river. And so you take the National Park Service plan. Well, what do we do with it? Well, we start looking at their recommendations. And one of it was to form a public-private partnership, a nonprofit organization in partnership with the city so that you can raise public funds and private funds to make things happen. And out of that, is the Little Tallahatchie Riverway Conservancy. So we just copied what other people are doing. The Wolf River Conservancy, the Hatchie, I think, that's in Tippah County and goes into Benton, I think. So we just did what other communities do that have rivers running through their town or in their county and whatever in their state. So then we have the Conservancy, and how do we get this plan going? And at the same time, within the community, there were conversations about a leadership class. People had been taught UCDA, Unite, whatever. We've been talking Phil Nanny and who else? Michael Brown, the old UCDA former member, presidents and committees, and just talking about doing a young adult emerging leadership class. And all of this just kind of came together all at once, one thing happening in the next. So we formed the leadership class, and then most leadership classes throughout the state and whatever, that class has a project. And so rather than having to think of a project, we had a project in mind. It would just not be multiple projects, it would be one big one. And so this girl was a part of the leadership class. And they took this project and ran with it. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you for letting us run.
So that kind of gets us to the what really happened with the park. Just in conversations, let me back up 1 minute. So Catherine, this vision that Catherine sketched came from, I believe, a trip to San Antonio. And because she mentioned several times that if San Antonio can do this, we can too. And so that was her inspiration. And I would be remiss if I didn't say that the other strong woman in this community that went with Catherine Dye to present this to the aldermen. And these two women were extremely influential to me, and that was Hilda Hill. So Hilda and Catherine worked side by side in getting this going. And so right as COVID was opening up, and this so connects me back to this project too. San Antonio was her inspiration for the whole river park. The playground hit me in Savannah, Georgia, at Forsyth Park. And there was all these nature-themed play elements. So I pulled out and Tom and I we were coming out of COVID. Tom and I had taken a little trip to Savannah and went to Forsyth and walked around and did what you do when you go visit parks and other areas. And I saw the playground, and so I got my phone out and I took a picture of a couple of items, and then I got the name of the company off of one of the play elements. And so as we searched those, did a little research on that company, and we found a Mississippi rep. Then this group, the leadership class, we got him to come, and he was one of our programs, was he not?
Mm-hmm. He met with our playground committee.
Worked with the playground committee, and then that's kind of how we got started, how we got to where we are with I've missed this plan. So this plan came out of after we got the class involved. To get other grant, we learned about the MOST grant from one of our the rep.
Yeah, from Strathers.
Yeah, and from Play Corps and Game Time. And we had to be able to apply for the grant. We needed to know, where we were going. We had to have a visual for the park. And so through the Mississippi Heritage Hills, we were able to get a grant from them to come up with a conceptual plan. And then that plan changed and changed and changed, and this is the final plan. So for now, yeah, it is. So I'm going to let Brittany talk to you just a little bit about that process and what we've got with for the children and for all of us.
Hello. I wanted two things before I get started on that. I want to congratulate this lady right here for receiving the Jack Reed Senior Community Leadership Award yesterday at the Create Foundation State of the Region meeting. Very deserving for all the many contributions to our community and our state. And she's not even done yet, so there's no telling.
Thank y'all for not kicking me out yet.
I think what did Billie Jean compare you to, the anthill that you just keep poking?
Just don't stomp on it yet.
And also, I wanted to say about this conceptual master plan. When I was working on the MOST grant, I had basically memorized that back and forwards, and the recommendations that they brought forward for what could be with that area were taken from all of the pre-community meetings where the community was invited to come out and prioritize what the needs and the wants in our community were. So this isn't just a group of people sitting in here making decisions for the whole community. This is based off of those surveys, questionnaires, and discussions that took place during that time when they were formulating all of these recommendations. And leadership, one of our early sessions, we were meeting with the playground rep, and I can't remember his name, but the guy had said, when we were talking about Parkapalooza, the event that we're having, or we were working on our first one at that time back in 2023 to try to raise some money to get started on this. And, when you're raising money, you're like, no problem. But then when you start seeing how much things cost, I don't know if y'all know about inflation, but it's a thing. And our numbers from 2023 are different today than, what were projected. But we needed bigger money than what we could raise at one community event. But the community got behind us big time, and we were able to raise $30,000 almost that very first event. And then we matched that during the second event. But the playground rep told us about the MOST grant. I remember him saying, y'all need to work on the MOST grant. Y'all need to look into that. And the deadline was, a month away at that time. And we were like, not probable, but I like to just shoot for the moon anyway. Ask my husband over there. Sometimes I get a little carried away, but God has a way of working things out.
But she said she was going to do it, and so she did.
Yeah, I was a little determined. Well, I kind of wanted to prove y'all wrong, too, because when y'all said I couldn't, there's no way we could get it done. But, man, it was so much more in-depth than what I had ever imagined. That was the first grant I've ever written. So no previous experience on this, but luckily I was well-armed with.
But she was a journalism major, too. I mean, she's a nurse practitioner, but she was a journalism major.
For a little bit. Till I decided to do the healthcare thing. But Billie Jean and Jill and Miss Betsy helped me. They were great resources. And I sat in this museum back there in the library and did a lot of the research that was needed for that grant. The MOST grant, Mississippi Outdoor Stewardship Trust Fund, was established to enhance outdoor recreation and conservation in the state of Mississippi. It is funded by appropriations from legislation, but also from sales tax collected on outdoor recreation and sporting goods in the state. So it did not create a new tax, but it redirected taxation that was already in place to help make improvements in these areas. And I learned during that research that we have two endangered species of freshwater mussels that run in our river. The king of the Chickasaw Nation, and I cannot say his name, but it's on a plaque and it starts with an I.
Ishtahodaba. Ishtahodaba.
That's the one. He had a lot of love for the river, I'll say that. And Hernando de Soto crossed the river here. And what was Clark's first name? There was Meriwether Lewis, and then, right? William Clark. Okay. You think he's related to us? He might be. But they spent time on the Tallahatchie River, and but those notable names are great. But think about all the people that have lived here over the years that have made memories and spent time in the river. And the river didn't always look like it does now, I learned also. But I found a new appreciation for it in that learning throughout writing that grant. And whenever you were talking about in Forsyth Park in Savannah, Georgia, did you sit on the Forrest Gump bench?
I did not.
The Forrest Gump bench is out there at that park. It's a good bench. But we had taken our two children to Chattanooga, which is where Play Corps' headquarters are. And we were on a carriage ride when I saw their building and was like, I've got to call Miss Betsy. I found the headquarters. I'm about to go in here and talk to these people. And then we went to the zoo, and when we were at the zoo, lo and behold, we walk up on this
Play area.
Yeah, it's a playground, but it's nature grounds is what it's called. I couldn't think of the word. And it was the exact same equipment that we had been looking at to put in our community here, and we couldn't drag the kids off of it. It's a beehive that they can climb through, and caterpillars that they can ride on and jump on. And there's so many, our park is a special place to be right in the middle of a town and still be to feel like you're just in the middle of the woods. You're in nature out there, even though there's all kind of industry and commerce around you. And we have a beautiful asset in the river there that's underutilized, and so it's important that we make better use of it going forward for our current residents and the generations that are coming forward in the future.
Through the process of going through and picking the types of play elements and the playgrounds and things for the children, through PlayCorps, we were very intentional in making this a nature-themed area, continuing how Catherine saw it from the very beginning, and not making it futuristic play elements, but all nature-related and have some educational components to it. And there were 5 areas that PlayCorps is a company that has partnered with some recreational health things through, I think maybe North Carolina State or something, one of the North Carolina schools. No, it was the College of Design, North Carolina State University. Anyway, their main area is nature grounds. And so if we follow their best practices and develop this type of area, and also other focuses that they have. You talk to them about the help, these.
So these are 5 elements. They're evidence-based. There's lots of research out to support the data that if you deliberately design your playground to include these elements, that your communities are going to reap the benefits tremendously from it. There's evidence out there to support that these particular elements will bring inclusion and, they'll bring inclusion and kind of reintegrate nature back into play for kids. There's too much screen time for children in our society today, and less appreciation for nature than even when I was growing up, which was only 29 years ago. Just kidding. But the play on is one element that promotes physical fitness throughout the course of the play. So these, and there's pictures up here of a lot of it, and y'all can come look at it if you're interested at all. But the main feature is a tree house, and it has composite around it that actually looks like you're in a tree. And so that keeps that element there for the nature aspect of it. And but there's so many different physical exertions and manipulations like swinging, jumping, bending,
Crawling.
There's different movements that really promotes physical development and physical health improvements in kids when they're playing on it. So yes, they're playing, they're having fun, but they're also doing movements while they're playing on this equipment that helps their bones and their muscles develop better. And another element is the play together, which it makes it a multi-generational and inclusive playground. So any age or any ability of a person, they're still going to find something they can play with within this playground, whether they have a physical incapacity that doesn't allow them to, to walk without crutches or a wheelchair. They're still going to have things to do in this playground. And there's room so that a grandparent or a parent can go play with their small child within this playground without hurting or pulling anything like I usually do when I'm trying to play with my kids. But there's sensory elements to it for kids that have problems with overstimulation. In the big playground, there's one side of it's more for 5 to 12-year-olds, and then 2 to 4-year-olds have another large area to play with, or play in, and that photo is kind of represented here where it's, the larger aspect and then this smaller one. Trying to pull the arts into it as well. There's a spot for them to do little plays outside and little mushroom chairs for them to sit on and a zip line that is accessible. And it's just a lot of different things trying to be integrated into this design so that everybody can enjoy it.
Brittany.
Yes.
So you see the map on the inside. So this area here is the big signature feature. And we've got to keep in mind that Brittany didn't say about the $2 million that was the grant from most that we're using now to start. That grant is only for the foundational work, the hardscape, dealing with the drainage issues, new parking, new trails, all of the hard stuff, getting it ready for all of the fun stuff. So that's what is going to be going on first. The rest of it, we still have to raise about $4 million. So, it's kind of like, well, why did y'all do that? It's kind of like just asking Santa Claus for everything that you want for Christmas and hoping you get something. So that's kind of how we approach this. And I forgot to say that in addition to forming the public-private partnership that National Park Service suggested that we do, also in there was, okay, so how do we get started with this? Is to pick the low-hanging fruit. And the low-hanging fruit was the 30-year-old park that was in the city, because the city already owned that property. So that was what was really the inspiration for all of this. And so then with the master plan that was done by Bob Mercier, who was from here, this was the big concept. So this is the new play area, and that's where Brittany is talking about most of these elements are. And this is $1 million. So it won't be.
1.4.
It will be about like what Tupelo is doing at Ballard Park with their big new feature, except ours is all nature themed.
You see where the large playground area is, which is where the former equipment that was just moved to the sportsplex was at now. And then there's a ton of swings coming in. There's climbing logs. There's climbing mounds. There's many different areas kind of away from that are included in the whole picture there. But if you look all the way kind of halfway to the amphitheater there's a little brown circle, tan circle there, and that is going to be an adult outdoor fitness center. And so this
this one.
yes, that will be free equipment for public use, and that allows access where there are many individuals in our community who cannot afford to go to the gym. They cannot afford a membership, and there's a lot of lack of education on what exercises to do, how to do them. So just saying do it at home doesn't always help. But when you have this equipment available and signage there to show people what to do and how to use the equipment, it makes that more readily available for your community. And there is evidence to support that community health outcomes improve tremendously whenever these types of outdoor fitness centers are available to the public for adults and teens. And I mean, kids can use it too, I suppose, but they probably have more fun getting their exercise on the playground. And then I will pass this back over to you to talk about the pathways for play.
So also a part of play course, one that I really loved was their Pathways for Play. And these are little pockets of play elements that are tucked along the pathway. So when children and their grandparents or their adult friend, whoever's with them that's playing with them in the big area, they start walking the trails and around the trails throughout the park in this area they're 5 play pockets. And they each are nature themed, and that's what Brittany was talking about. There's one of them that's themed as a bee, and that's the honeycomb. So they get to climb on different elements that are nature related, and then in that area, there's also, well, this one happens to be, oh, you got the
Yeah,
bee.
there's the bees.
Okay, there's also a little leaf, so it's a little educational that tells you a little bit, tells the child, the grandparent, the parent, can explain to them about bees. We do butterflies. We've got a pond element and tree dwellers. So there are 5 of those. And those 5 play pockets were funded by Toyota and NEEF, N-E-E-F. That's the National Environmental Education Fund. And the National Environmental Education Fund came out of National Park Service and doing environmental education and conservation. And so because of that, we'd see NEEF was $150,000 and Toyota was $60,000. So together, they funded the 5 play pockets. So that's sort of how we are proceeding with fundraising for the rest of the elements and different areas throughout the park, is getting sponsors, which we are working on diligently now. Like you have Pilot Club would like to do the music area, has expressed interest in that. Rotary, I believe, is doing the boulders. Do you have?
Oh, yeah, we don't have a
Yeah, you
picture
have
of the boulders, I don't think. That's the play area. Oh, yeah, they
Yeah.
are in the background there.
So there are these 3 sections around right here on your map. This is a big swing section. This is a boulder. They're climbing boulders so that children can climb on big rocks, kind of like we have outside of the museum, except these don't have the fossils embedded. But we may have some out with some educational components to it too. Rotary is doing the boulders, I believe. And then hopefully the others will be funded as well. So if you're in an organization or have a company that would like to fund something, get in touch with us. We can find you. Another thing that's going in is along the big path, that's the access to the stage, the amphitheater area, is an overlook along the creek side, and Camp Creek Landing, which is, if you walk the trails around Camp Creek. How many of you walk the park? Any of you? Yeah. So along Camp Creek, there is a little area there that's kind of like a sandbar. So that area is going to have access to it so that children can get down that area and put their hand in the water and stir it up if they want to. And so many people had commented about, well, I walked a creek when I was young, and I played in a creek. So I would love for their children to be able to at least put their foot down there. So we'll be doing some educational things in that area as well. But you'll have 2 overlooks, little places for them to stand, like a little deck or wooded platform for them to stand and look over the creek. Anything, and this area, it says lawn mounds, that's just gonna be a big hill. So the children can run up and down a hill
And roll down
and
it.
roll down and slide down, I guess, if it snows, who knows? New pavilion, 5 new little, the areas that have
Where the sales are now.
that have the sails are, I was gonna say the canvas, yeah.
Yeah.
The sails. Those will be little gazebo type facilities, pergolas, and everything that, the structures, the pavilion and the shade structures and the stage will all have kind of the same feel or the same architecture with the field stone base and the beams, with hard surfaces. So these won't be the sail surface again, but have a hard roof. Yeah. And then there will be the service area pathways. There are river overlooks too, because people are saying, I want to see the other side. I want to see the river. So there'll be several areas along the riverside to be able to stand up and see the river on the wooden decks there. Also within the plan, this area here is a water garden. Years ago, not years ago, but 10 or 15 years ago, the New Albany Garden Club received a peace pole from the Japanese, and it was here. That was that white pole that was sticking up in the middle of the garden area there. And also with like that particular area is going to have a little there's going to be interpretive signage along the trails too that will let people know what the peace pole was. Also where the DeSoto Rock will be, and several other areas, probably something that interprets the Tallahatchie River. So as you walk the trails, there'll be those educational, informative components. There's a children's pollinator garden on this side. There's a children's shade garden up here. This is where the birch trees are, that area where the birch trees are, as you go across the pedestrian bridge. This is a food truck area. So there's spaces for about two or three food trucks and then a little picnic area here. There'll be new picnic tables scattered around, benches, and some swings for those of us who just want to go sit in a porch swing and listen to the creek gurgle. So trying to think of a little something for everybody.
I'm glad to see the dog park.
The dog park, yes, over here too.
Miss Betsy, on the back, it references kayaking the hatch.
It is on the plan with the National Park Service conceptual plan.
Yep. So keep in mind, this is the conceptual plan, but out of the city's comprehensive plan was the desire to access and to canoe. And we have some people in the room who already canoed. But where do they get in? And so yes, that's part of this plan. And this plan even shows a low head dam so that we could stabilize the water level in that area between Bankhead and the interstate, so that, and that doesn't have to be, I mean, it can be 3 or 4 feet to canoe or less, yeah, kayak. So that's in the plan, but we can't get that in this right now.
Right. I know
But it's here.
a big issue was cleanup of
Right.
Is that part of this, or
Well,
we're volunteering?
yes, we are
Okay.
going to try. I think the guys are at the park now. Look at the picture on your brochure. Look at the level of the trees there. You can't see now from the west side. You can see the east side, but from the east side you can't see the west side. So again, trying hard to be very intentional about what's removed. And so working on getting the undergrowth out and getting as the guys that were down there the other day talking, the scrubby trees and saving the birches and then also trying to get the kudzu and the vines out of the trees and then trim them up a little bit so you can see. This document has all of this in it. Look, I did what Hilda Hill and what Catherine Dye told me to do. So I'm telling you, girl.
Okay.
Here's your to-do list. He talked about river trails and trail towns. And I knew of trail towns through the Tanglefoot. But she had been through ARC Leadership Institute last year, Appalachian. And during that class, they went to every state. Did you go to every Appalachian state?
9.
She went to 9 states. So she comes back and we were talking, and she says, we need to bring in these 2 gurus. So that's how that happened. And y'all, I'm telling you, every one of these little things has just been one step. And it's been so phenomenal that everything has just fallen into place at the right time. Take it away.
The ARC Leadership Institute is wonderful because it takes us, just takes somebody and lets you go see best practices that are happening in other areas. And so that was great. In my actual cohort was this executive director of the Tennessee River Line, Brad Collette, and Amy Camp, who is the Trail Town Guru, who helps you become a certified trail town. And when we start to show people like Brad and Amy what we already have going on here in New Albany, they want to get involved. They want to take us to kind of the next level. So we're bringing them in June 24th, 25th, and 26th, and we're nailing down that agenda here shortly. They're going to, we hope to kayak while Brad's here. He said, I'm bringing my boats. So, and then Amy's going to help us kind of look to see, could we become one of those designated trail towns? And when I traveled around to these other 9 states with these leaders across Appalachia, the outdoor recreation is huge right now. So this is kind of something that I think that is really going to set New Albany on the map. We're well on our way already with this Park Along the River project and the great work that that Betsy and Brittany and Billie Jean and everybody who's been involved with this. But that's going to kind of take us to that next level. So we will get that agenda out to everybody if you want to be involved in the workshops. So they're going to come workshop with us on June 25th for like a full day. And then they're also going to do a first impressions. When they first arrive here, we're going to take them around and we just want to hear their first impressions of New Albany and pick their brains that way. And then I think we're going to do some river activities. So that'll be fun.
That's going to be really fun too. Yes. And the Trail Town certification things that really is, if we could do that, develop, Mississippi doesn't have that. But we were talking about New Albany maybe being a pilot for the state to begin this type of program, because what it does is it gives the community bullet points of things that the community needs to have to be able to be certified for a state trail town, whether it's a bike trail or a water trail, a blue way or a greenway. And so that would bring a lot of national recognition too. But one other thing I wanted to say about the national recognition is, like, each one of these little icons represents one of those areas that Brittany was talking about the fitness, the inclusive play, the playing with, the inclusive play, and then the, play together.
The nature
Together.
grounds
Each one
and
of
adult
these, so
fitness.
you've got the fitness, you've got adult fitness, you've got nature grounds, and then you've got each one of those represents the best practices
in your design.
and the design by Playcore to have one of these on your playground. And so with these, it's going to be an area where, and I know data is important if people give you the data, but this will set us apart and bring us recognition that we wouldn't have if we weren't intentionally designing this area through Playcore's best practices. Tupelo is going to have 3 of these. We're going to have all 5. And there's, to our knowledge, and to our playground reps' knowledge, there's not another location in the Southeast that has all of these in one spot.
That also allows the park to be considered a national demonstration site for Playcore's 5 elements of play.
Mm-hmm.
And that allows us to be open to resources where they do collect that data. And there's QR codes that they'll have available and different questionnaires and how they get feedback from the community on how this is actually benefiting us. And
That's it.
Parkapalooza is going to be May 31st. It's our 3rd annual fundraiser to benefit Park Along the River. Yes, we got a $2 million grant, and we got the support of Toyota and NEEF and many other businesses and organizations in the community, but we still have a long way to go. So we're not going to just lay low and wait for it to come to us. We're just going to keep working to raise that money.
Union County and everything, it's the city, it's the county, it's the state, it's the region. We don't have a county lake. We don't have a state park. But we do have a river. And we do have a park along the river. And that's going to be our park, the county's park, the city's park of New Albany, Myrtle's Park, Blue Springs Park,
The region's park.
the region.
There will be people from all
Yes.
over that come to play here.
Yes, they will be. So let's make it happen. There will be opportunities for sponsorships of park benches, of picnic tables, of other things for you individually or families or organizations. And so just stay tuned. We have the $2 million to do the hard structure. Depending on the weather, depending on funding. And I will tell you that we are going after every dollar we can and every source that we can. So past that $2 million, at this point, I can't tell you anything other than we might have parking and we may have pathways within first of the year. I don't know. For right now, for all practical purposes, the park along the river is closed. And we just would hope that everybody would use the Tallahatchie Trail, which is the trail on the west side of the river, that is all the way from Bankhead to the Sportsplex. There's a gazebo over there. There are benches, there are overlooks on that side. We just encourage you to continue to use that area. Thank y'all so much. Really appreciate you coming.